What is going on, guys? We're here with another Overprime video, and this time we are here with a guide for Shinbi. One of my favorite casters at the very least. If you don't count Aurora, I guess. Probably my favorite caster, honestly. Well, she's more of an assassin, but she is technically a caster. She's magic damage. Shinbi. I know a lot of people probably didn't like her at first because she got heavily nerfed from the beta, if you guys didn't know, and she didn't feel that as good as she did. But ever since this game released, she's been one of those sleeper characters that people have just never really wanted to like try out, I guess, because she's, I guess, a little bit more difficult to manage, especially in the roles that she needs to be, which is mid and jungle. Probably easier in solo lane because you can just kind of like chill, but she's just a really good character. She's been a really good character for a very long time. Like I said, she got buffed a little bit. I believe her ability now heals per hit, which was a big buff, and then in general her mana, I think her mana regen was buffed. I don't remember if they changed anything else. Personally, I don't think they increased her damage really. They might have, but I'm not entirely sure. They might have lowered her cost for one of her abilities. I think her wolves maybe, but it's kind of hard to tell because it's at 100 right now. But yeah, Shinbi. I love her. She's adorable. She's great. She's a K-pop star. She like is friends with Zena, who's in like a whole other band thing going on, and I just absolutely adore her. She's a lot of fun. If you guys like bursty assassins, basically, well, I guess consistently, she's not really as bursty as Countess or anything, but her ultimate is a huge burst of damage. That's just an insta-kill from 100 to 0 nearly, depending on how you're building. And she has a lot of synergy in her kit with literally all of her abilities synergize extremely well together. She just came out in Pred, and she's so much fun. She made me want to play Predecessor, which I probably will do that eventually because I do want to try her out, especially with the new Hunter coming out next month for Pred. But yeah, she's a lot of fun. So we're going to go over basically builds, how to play her, how she works, so you guys at least understand how she functions. And then we're going to go over build paths. I have 3 different builds set up for her. So what you're going to see, 2 of them, which I'd recommend, and then one of them just kind of memey that I wouldn't recommend, but it's just a lot of fun because she can be built a variety of ways. She is primarily an assassin, so she's supposed to do damage, but the way the game works right now, tanks are really broken, tank items are really broken. There is a good amount of items that support her ability to do damage even as a melee for like the mid lane presence and like the jungle presence, but it's just better for her to always, I think the core theme in most of the builds is that she'll always have some sort of tankiness, because if a carry decides to hit you 2 times, you'll just die if you're full damage. So she needs defense, especially if you're playing, now, obviously in casuals, it's whatever, but like, again, if you're trying to play optimally, you're going to need some defense on her. Just know that beforehand. She's not going to be a character that you could sit there and just build full damage on and always prosper against people who know what they're doing. You're going to take hits. Like, no matter how you play her, you are going to take some hits. So anyways, we're going to go over a build paths, basically some strategies to help you out here. All right, let's get right into it. Shinbi. So she, like I said, is a phenomenal. She's just really fun in general. And I think anyone could really appreciate her design. First off, she looks amazing. Even her base skin literally looks like, I don't know. I feel like she's kind of like a good poster girl for the game if she was, because she just looks so cute. But at the same time, it's like her identity is just really fun. She has a lot of cool abilities and just signatures. Like, look, when she throws up her ability, she gives a little peace sign. I love her. Anyways, going over Shinbi's abilities, every person in the game has physical autos, if you guys are wondering. So everyone is always going to have at least some sort of physical, so you could always build them crit. Don't build her crit, but that's just a thing you could do. Just kind of memey. It will be fun when we actually get like a magic damage dealer who's properly a carry, because right now we don't have any. But yep, anyways, so obviously Shinbi just swings her sword, deals physical damage. You won't have to auto as much on Shinbi against people later in the game, but you should still try to auto them when you can. If you're cycling through your abilities, though, it's kind of hard to just sit there and auto constantly because the way the game kind of locks you into place your abilities. You're going to auto a few times for sure whenever your abilities are off cooldown. Also, a tip, I always like to put one of her abilities, that little wolf that I just summoned. I know I'm showing your abilities before I explain them. We're going to go over each one, but I like to put that on instacast so you don't have to double press it, which you can just hit escape and click when you're playing a character. But yeah, anyways, let's go over abilities. So like I said, her auto attack is a physical damage using auto. You're not going to have, like when you're fighting, you're not going to have to auto that much later in the game. Probably, but it's still useful to have, or useful to be able to do. Her next ability is her, well, I guess we'll start with her summon ability, her wolf, where she throws a wolf forward in a line. This is a good ability to start with if you're in lane. It does recover mana. It's easier to poke with because it's a far ranged ability, and it's safer. So if you want to be a safe mid laner, you could just, like I said, use the wolf to start off with so you could poke better. This is a really good ability. It doesn't really do that much damage. Upgrading it first probably isn't the best because her next ability is a little bit stronger. But if you really want to just play a safer mid lane, then you can upgrade this first. It does do a lot of damage stacking up. It also helps you build up her stacks, which we'll go over later. Her next ability, oh, and also recovers mana when you hit it. So it recovers 5% of max mana. So however much mana you have, it'll recover 5% of that, as you can see. When I hit it, I have 1200 mana. I get about 60 of that back, which is really nice. So you'll always be getting some mana back if you're hitting people. I don't think, oh, maybe, I think it counts for minions too. So if you want to clear with this, then yeah, you could probably clear with this as well. But like I said, she is also a mana hog, I will say. So building mana items isn't the worst idea ever, which I actually recommend and we'll go over. But yep. So her next ability is her summon wolf ability, which she hits rapidly with her wolves. And it synergizes with her other ability because the other part of her Wolf of Summon a Phantom ability, her E, is decreases all skill cooldowns by 1 second to recover 5% and recovers 5% max mana. So if you summon these wolves, right, and then you press this ability, you see on the bottom how there's a second taken off, and no matter which way you cast it, this also applies to every ability, including her other two abilities, her ultimate as well as her right click. Every time you summon a wolf, which is on a what? 5-second cooldown with no CDR, which is another thing as well. She doesn't really need that much CDR because of this ability, but you should probably build it just to stack it up a little bit faster. Your 5 seconds isn't going to get that low, but it's really nice to have regardless. She basically has no downtime between her wolves if you build full CDR. Her wolves are always off cooldown, which is really nice. But yep, she, like I said, can synergize her two abilities, those together already, and then she has her other ability, her dash, to synergize with as well, which is a 2-part dash. And you see a little circle, you can actually dash twice. In between that 3-second window, I believe, just like Countess, she has like a 3-second window of activation. So if you do it twice, you're able to dash forward 2 times. So you dash once. You have to do it when the circle is shown here. If you don't do it, you can't dash again. And then it goes on cooldown. It doesn't go on cooldown until you actually press it the second time. So if you want to get it on cooldown faster, just press it twice. There is a little bit of a delay, and it's hard to do it in the air. This is like the biggest downside of this dash when you're on a slope. There's like a weird fall off and it's not smooth enough. So I hope they do fix that. I think that's a problem with their actual system of like inertia and like gravity and the way it works in this game. It's just very weird for some abilities to actually dash through the air. So when you're on like a slope, it's really hard to, you can't really continue the dash because you'll dash and then you'll just fall, and then you'll dash again and then you'll just fall even more. So it's, you can't really like make these insane jumps usually with there, which is yeah, disappointing. I think they put a delay there to avoid abusing the actual speed of the dash, but at the same time, they should probably make it so you don't just fall, and you should like glide down basically, which would help a little bit with the feeling of it, because right now it feels just awful when you're in the air. But on the ground, you are extremely fast. Your dash is basically a Zena dash, which if you guys know, that dash is insanely large. She can actually keep up with Zena, which is a big testament to her skill with the ability in general. Just being able to chase down a very fast target like that, which is also why she's really good at diving the back line, right? So obviously we went over all of her abilities. We'll go over ultimate in a second, but as you can see here, you already have synergistic abilities with your 2 abilities. You know, you could dash. Dash also does a decent amount of damage as well, by the way. It almost does as much as your wolf, which is pretty insane. It does more technically if you hit them twice with it. So a lot of the times when I'm engaging a target, right, I'll go up to the target, I'll do this, I'll dash, the wolf, dash again, and then just keep autoing when I can. Now, if you have your build together, you actually will probably, you won't actually have to auto as much, because what will happen is you'll do this, you do that, the wolf, do that again, and then your abilities will be back up, which is a lot of the times what happens, which is why she's such a mana hog, which as you can see, I'm already like out of mana, which is why building mana is probably a decent idea. But yeah, that's basically most of her kit. Now we're going to go over the other part of her kit, which is the explosive ultimate, which you want to use. So as you can see, she has a stacking system. If you look on the left, it says 6. Every time you hit an ability, you can climb up to 6 stacks, so you have to hit 6 abilities. The fastest way to charge this is by using this ability. since this hits what, I think 6 times in total. Yeah, I think it hits a total of 6 times. So if you hit all 6 wolves, it's already stacked. But again, you're probably not gonna, maybe you won't be able to keep it up all the time. Usually you'll be able to, the second you engage somebody and you hit them 6 times with the wolves, and your other 2 abilities as well stack it. So if you hit 2 dashes and you hit these, and then you hit all your wolves, you'll just have the 6 stacks from the left. Now what this does is it allows you to hit harder with your ultimate. So her passive grants Wolf Chi every time any skill hits an enemy hero. Wolf Chi stacks up to 6 times and lasts for 30 seconds. So you have a 30-second window, which is a very, very generous time, considering they made a character like Chimera have like a 2.5-second window for his healing. But she summons Phantom Wolves to attack a selected target for 155 magical damage. Additionally, summons an extra Phantom Wolf for every Chi stack, which deals 57 magical damage. I'm not sure how many this actually is, because it says it stacks up to 6 times. I think it's like 10. It's not actually like 6. But yeah, so if you had no stacks and you pressed it, yeah, you hit. Again, maybe it's just once, actually. Yeah, so it's only 155. So, yeah, it's 7 wolves, I think. But, yep. So you actually hit only once. So you never want to use this unless you're max stacks. Or if someone's 1 HP, I guess, if you have a little bit of stacks. But you pretty much never want to use this on no stacks. Always stack it. It's not worth pressing if you don't. It's your highest burst, though. And it's going to be your biggest turnaround in a lot of fights where you just see someone go like from 100 to like 0. If you're fighting someone else, you can actually aim this at any target you want. It doesn't have to be the target that you stacked on, which is extremely nice. A lot of the times I'll stack on a tank, dash behind the tank, and then blow up the back line with the ult, and then instantly just go on them, and they're already like dead. Super nice. I'm gonna just go reset here. So what you're supposed to do is you're supposed to stack it fully. So if you wanted to stack your whole ability here, as you can see on the left, stack up to 6, and then you cast the ultimate, and it hits a lot more. And there you go. It's a disgusting amount of damage. It's one of the highest damaging abilities in the game. It does an acidine amount of damage. You can only target heroes with this, so you can't target like a minion or orb or anything, but it is an insanely powerful ability. And like I said, it synergizes well with her abilities as well, because like I said, she's building stacks anyways, taking seconds off of her ultimate as well as her other abilities. And then after you're done doing your combo, you just absolutely burst. And your ultimate's going to be on a short cooldown because you build a little bit of cooldown and you have your wolf stacks going up, which is really nice. Now, that's pretty much all you do with there. There's no real big tips I can give you in terms of her gameplay performance. It's really just dump your whole kit into someone and then press the button and burst and she's done. But I will say, don't really be afraid of diving the back line because it's very hard. Unless the whole team goes on you, it's very hard for them to stop you. Like, I think a lot of people don't understand that Shinbi can just run past the entire team to kill a carry. And if your team is playing the game, they're gonna have to focus on other people than just you. You're going to kill them. Like, she is a certified carry killer. I like to give these like titles to certain people like Countess, Zena, Shinbi, even Kalari to an extent. Not really. They are carry killers and they can insta kill the carry if they decide to. She's one of those characters. So, like I said, if you're in a team fight and you're trying to figure out what's going on, you can literally just dash, hold it, right? Get close to the carry. You'll dash again. I missed that window there, but you can dash again and then burst them with your abilities. And then when your ultimate is charged, just instantly press it. You don't have to actually wait. Now, if you want to kind of like bait it out because you're already killing them, you can. You don't have to cast it immediately. It is just damage, but it will help you. They'll get scared. They'll back up. They'll try to fight, whatever. I'd wait for the shield from the carry because you know they're going to have it if you can, but if they don't, if they whatever, and then when they break distance from you, you can just cast it. It's also very, very far ranged, which I'll show you here. Like, that's how far it is. That is an extremely generous distance considering she's a melee caster. It's just kind of insane. And her wolf can also reach from there too. So she has 2 very long range abilities despite being a melee caster. So, like I said, she can also play from afar if you really wanted to. You could just poke like this, which a lot of people like to do actually, which I think is a waste. I mean, if you're trying to stand off with them from afar, you're making a mistake. Just dash in, dude. Don't be afraid. You have such a far range dash. And you could also, what I like to do, personally, especially when I'm fighting a melee, is, which we'll go into the items, kind of like associating some good items for her, but I like to stand at a distance and kind of like hit them on the edge and back up as they're trying to melee me, because you can hit them from this distance with your wolves And if you're playing correctly, you can hit them the entire time without them actually meleeing you at least that much to mitigate a lot of your damage. And then when you want to, right, you're hitting them, you dash again, and you kind of just keep backing up and playing with them a little bit. I do that all the time, and it's hilarious. Obviously, with range, it's not going to work, but with melee, she's honestly probably the hardest character to kill as a melee character, unless you're like Zena or something. She's extremely difficult to reach because she could play far back, and again, there's items to support this. Now, we're going to go over to the site to show you the builds, but I do want to go over some core items with her here, just to show you how they work. These two items are her bread and butter. Every single game, regardless of circumstance, should always start with Teardrop and Cultist Blow. At least currently, as the making of this video. Obviously, things can change in the future, guys. I'm just talking about the here and the now, whatever the date is. If these items are still broken in the future, these items are a staple for her. You want to support her ability to do damage close range, and support damage from her wolves. You have to take advantage of her 6 hitting abilities, because it's absolutely amazing. And Teardrop is a really good way, because Teardrop procs on literally everything she does. So you're always going to have Teardrop proccing on the enemy. It's by far her best item. By a large margin is Teardrop. And her second best item by a large margin is going to be Cultist Blow, which is why I recommend trying to play melee range. You could still play like right here, it still procs, most likely, but you know, you can actually be close to the enemy. You're going to be close to them all the time, at least you should be, which is why I recommend don't play from a distance. It's not worth it. Just play close. She's a melee caster. But this is Cultist Blow, which allows you to do more damage when they're below 50%, 15% more damage. It is massive. You will absolutely blow people up the second you get this item. With Teardrop, these two items are, no matter what build you're doing, always start with these two items. I know you guys want to probably like, well, lifesteal build or anything like that. Guys, trust me, this build, these two items, no matter what, I don't even care what comes after this, just always have these two items. They are absolutely outstanding with Shinbi. They work way too well with they synergize way too well with their kit. And we're going to show kind of what she's like with full CDR, which is kind of hard to get because you have to build these two items no matter what. But if you wanted full CDR, let's say I was, you know, I guess I'll just throw up one of my builds here. Yeah, for me personally, the next damage item doesn't really matter. You could go lifesteal if you really want to. Now, I will say, despite her healing, this item specifically doesn't complement it that well. I think Treya's Ban does more, so if you really wanted more healing, I'd say just go Treya's Ban. But I'd recommend just getting more mana to help you out a little bit. Because you're, like I said, you're a mana hog. I like Flare's ID because it gives you a shield. You could go something else. Realistically, you could go anything. You could honestly go Boots. I've been liking this item a lot more. You could go Totos if you just want more pure damage. I'd recommend getting something with CDR though. You could go Blue Heart against CDR. Fruit of Greed for the magical defense shred. You don't really need defense shred on Shinbi because you're going to be focusing the carries strictly and any squishy. If there's like 3 tanks, then maybe switch out one of your items, but for the most part, but yep, like I said, you probably want something CDR. So you get this, then you can get, I don't know, another CDR item, pendant eventually for the 10% CDR. Doesn't give mana anymore, sadly, but it does give CDR. And I'm missing something. Oh, high end. So I'm at 30% CDR, as you can see. And yeah, let's take a look at how fast we can get our abilities up with 30%. Sweetie. Wolf. Dash. Dash. Okay, well, I messed that up a little bit. You want to instantly be casting your wolves as soon as possible because you basically have no cooldown. Obviously, I'm not at the max CDR, but you can see here I basically have like a second of downtime. Now, obviously, if you're dashing, this will be a little bit less, but your dash also prolongs it, so that's basically how she works. That's literally it. And then obviously you'd burst. But you're just gonna literally be casting abilities. If you guys want someone who could like constantly just be hitting, then she's the way to do it. Obviously you have to hit the wolf. That's like the core thing, is being able to aim that ability. And look, I'm already out of mana. Now obviously if you're on a target, they're probably dead by then, but like I said, you could build mana items to sustain her, but there isn't that many good mana items to facilitate this. And this is also the build I'd recommend primarily for her because you do get 400 extra mana. And the shield when you're low is extremely helpful when you're just diving the backline because they'll also probably have a shield if they're squishy or if they're mid. And on top of that, 400 mana and you get the 10% CDR. Now another item that synergizes extremely well with their, especially against melee and in general, is Minimoto, because this slow works on every single tick of her wolf. So you're just constantly slowing your enemy. It feels awful to be fighting a Shinbi who has Minimoto, because you're a slowed to high hell. You literally cannot move. It feels terrible. If you want to just lower your CDR and go for mini Moda, this is also a very viable thing to just slow the entire team if they're hitting you, and it feels really, really good. Like I said, there's a lot of ways to build it. Those are just these 3 items synergize so well with Shinbi. A mini Moda you don't need as much because you're wasting a slot for instead of getting CDR. But if you really just are okay with 20 sprint CDR, like I said, this is a fantastic item. It does help you quite a bit, especially when you're fighting melees. It's a really, really good thing to get. Other than that, everything else, like I said, you can go Rampage and Toto, whatever, blah, blah, blah. But I'm getting too much into builds. I'm just saying this is how she feels with full CDR or near full CDR. She'll basically be casting all of her abilities off cooldown with only a few seconds of downtime here at a time. Also, her Phantom Wolves heal. I don't think I went over that. The hero recovers 12.5% of the damage dealt by Phantom Dance. It isn't enough to warrant building full lifesteal because someone most likely has anti-heal. And even then, if you get stunned and you're like a full damage build or even a takey build, it's very hard to upkeep that healing. If they're not super close to you or if they're like a ranger. So I don't recommend building lifesteal, but if I made a Mimi build for those who want to, because I know people want to build that. I don't really recommend it. It can work, especially if they don't have anti-heal, but most likely they will. So it will lose a lot of value just by building that when you can just be building more defense and just more shred. But yeah. Anyways, let's go on to the site portion just to kind of look at the build here. I'm going to switch over real quick. All right, so Shinbi, we have her ability lineup here, which is what I like to do personally. Like I said, you could start with the Summon Wolf if you really want to. Generally, you'll see her in the jungle or mid, but you could see her solo as well. But this is what I recommend for in any role, really. But if you want to start with the Summon Phantom, you could easily do that. I think you should, again, at level 1, they're not really going to be destroying you, so you should just walk up to the wave and press this ability. Personally, I think it's just a better choice, but that's just me. You'll also clear faster with this, but if you want to go set up Summon Phantom Wolves, then do that too. You can do whatever. This will also go through the wave, so you can also just get this and then just throw it through the wave. It just doesn't clear that fast. Anyways, this is her ability lineup. Like I said, I upgrade her Phantom Dance first, then I go into her dash for escape at level 2, then I get her Summon Wolves, and this is their second priority. This is the first priority, and then her oldest priority whenever it's up, 6, 11, 16, and then her dash is her last ability that I get. And these are the builds. So we're going to go over each item here. Like I said, you can see a core theme. Like I said, no matter what build you do, Teardrop, Cultist Blow, Teardrop, Cultist Blow, Teardrop, Cool. Every single build needs to have that. These items are too good on her not to use as of the making of this video. I don't think these, I think this will see a nerf and it will still, even if it's like 3,500 gold, would still be her most valuable item. Probably wouldn't do it first because it would be so expensive, but this would still be her most valuable item. It's too much damage to miss out on. It does a lot of damage. It's a health scaling thing. It's disgusting. And then Cultist Blow being her second most important. But as you can see here, every single build has defense of some sort. So that's also another recurring theme. This build is really memey, but we'll go into the first 2 builds first. So we got this, Teardrop, Cultist Blow. We got Zemia's because you're going to be close to your enemy. This is just extra damage, and it gives you a lot of defense, CDR, health. It's just the best tank item in the game by far. You should just definitely have this as your third item, in my opinion, to get your defense online, so you'll be tanking more hits. You will be able to still kill a carry extremely easily with these 3 items. Like, even not going damage third, you will be able to instantly kill a carry. Now, what I like to do fourth usually is Flare's ID, but sometimes I'll get Mini Moto. Just depends on the situation. Most of the times I'll get Flare's ID, though, because it gives you a shield, gives you mana, and it gives you 10% CDR, which is, you know, at this point you'll have 20%, which again is really nice. Then the 5th item I get usually is High End Armor to just negate more physical damage from the jungler as well as the carry, just for the basics. And then I'll get Pendant of Confinement just for a little bit more magical, but not really for the magical, just for the 10% CDR. But it does help. If you want to just do a double physical, you can do like Artificial Gravity Inductor. You don't need this, but the bonus base, when you do actually get a basic attack off with Pendant, it's a slow and it feels really good. And she is melee, remember that, so she get the full 120 damage, and it just feels really good to have the burst, and it's a slow for 1.5 seconds, so it also helps with just getting your abilities off more. I like it a lot. But if you don't want Pendant, you can just switch it out with anything else that has 10% CDR or just more damage. Rampaging Toto if you want it. I just say, get this. It just helps mitigate more and helps you out a little bit, especially against tanks with Zemias and stuff. But yep, this is my recommended build. I think no matter what role you play, this build is a solid one. It gives you 30% CDR specifically, and it gives you a decent amount of defense in general. And the starting is relatively cheap. So those things are really good. Again, going into these two items are just pretty cheap, and to get a lot of power spike online, she's going to be hitting extremely hard. Her and Countess, in my opinion, have the same identity with this. Like, you both go teardrop into cultist blow because it just works so well with their kits, and it does so much damage. Like I said, you want to get your tankiness online as soon as possible after you get your main damage online, just because in like an actual game you're going to be taking a lot more hits. You're going to be fighting a lot. You're going to want some defense. And trust me, guys, like I said, in this game, defense is king right now, at least as of the making of this video. This might change in the future, but defense is insane. So you definitely want that on Shinbi. And she's a melee. Like, a melee should have defense. So you're going to take hits. You know that from good players. Might as well have it. Second build, mini Moda build. Same thing pretty much, except defense is prolonged. You could also switch this and just put mini Moda here, but this has no pendant and just has Flair's ID. And it has less cooldown. This is a slow build though, if you want more damage early and you want to slow more or whatever, but you don't get any CDR. You could also replace this with Flair's ID and put mini Moda last. You also could just get rid of mini Moda in general. I do sometimes do 4 damage, 2 tank, but this isn't as reliable, so I would probably do 3 tank, 3 damage. Zemia's might as well be a damage dealing item, to be honest, but this is a build for the slow, for targets that are a little bit more slippery, or just in general if you want to slow like a carrier or something, or just anyone on you. You can also, this also helps you fight with melees. Like I said, that thing I was talking about where you're kind of like moving back and they're chasing you. This helps in an immense amount. Like, it helps so much just playing with them kind of like on the edge of your wolves, because they really just can't hit you with this item. It's insane. I had a Shinbi when I was Kwong one time, and Kwong, I think, he's like the king of lockdown, but I could not get to her even after I pinned her, because she was slowing me so much with mini Moda that I literally could not touch her. So I just ran. I was like, all right, I'm not trying to fight these Shinbis anymore who know what they're doing, because she was insane. So mini Moda is a really good item on her. Like I said, not necessary, but really nice against melees. It just helps. You just don't need it because you can catch anyone in the game, literally anyone in the game, except Aurora, I guess. And then Zemia's high end and Flair's ID for the shield. Like I said, you can replace this if you want, or you could just switch it out with mini Moda, and then you can switch out mini Moda. But this is just faster damage start. You know, like I said, if you're gonna build a tank item, just build Zemia's 3rd. But if you don't want a tank item, just build it 4th or 5th. You're gonna need it at some point. And this is the Mimi build. This is the lifesteal build. This is literally the most healing you can get. If you want a bulk of damage, you could replace Trezban with Archon Gospel, because Trezban should give you more healing than Archon. But for damage purposes, if you're going to do a lifesteal build, I would just go this, and this, and then you get Trezban as well. Because it's going to help you out a little bit more in terms of just bursting down. Getting Trezban 3rd doesn't do anything against physicals, which primarily are going to be the issue with crit and everything. So I just, and it's also expensive, so I just recommend getting Archon Gospel, because it will give you more damage, it'll give you a little bit of health, and it'll give you Vamp, which will help you heal a little bit, but then you'll get into Trezban, which will help you heal a lot, and then you'll get Witch's Vial, which will also help you heal a lot if you can actually basic attack. This isn't as recommended. You can take off Witch's Vial for this build and put on it like just Zemia's or something, just for more tankiness, but like I said, this is already a Mimi build, but I know people are going to want to do this. So if you're going to do this, I think this is the way to do it. And then you get a shield at the end, because a shield will be very, very important for when you're healing. You get the shield, you can heal through it while your shield is up. But you're probably going to be anti-healed anyways. But there you go. That's the meme build. Don't do this, but if you really want to try it out, there you go. That's, like I said, the lifesteal build. I wouldn't recommend it. And then her starter relics, as of the making of this video, green is still overpowered for melees. She is a melee, so she gets the full shield. So build green, don't build blue. Don't upgrade it at all, just build that. And then same with Destroyer Stone. Build Destroyer Stone if you're jungle, obviously, and then don't upgrade it, not worth. But yeah, that's pretty much it. So that's her build path. That's my idea about Shinbi. I don't think I tested the lifesteal enough. I know people are going to probably be like, but lifesteal's so good on her. Like, I get it. But again, first off, it's health recovery more than lifesteal. The 30% is probably better than lifesteal. At least from my experience, it felt better. But the lifesteal in actual team fights doesn't just... You're not like a vampire that's going to survive through anything lifestealing off of everything. Like, it just doesn't work like that. Good players will kill you with lifesteal, and they'll have anti-heal anyways. So it's just gonna happen. So I know people are probably like, it's so broken. It's not, dude. Like, you're gonna die. So I don't think you should actually build any lifesteal personally. But again, if you want to, there's an option. But if you're gonna build it, you have to build a lot of it. You can't just build like a book or Trezban and then be like, okay, well, that, you know, that's all I need. Like, no, you need to like all in lifesteal in this game, because it's just not good. health recovery is just not good. You know, like no health recovery is good enough to just warrant not building a lot of it if you're gonna do it. Especially because anti-heal exists as well. Even without anti-heal, it's already hard to just constantly heal off of everything, especially when you're getting hit by like 1200 damage each shot, or sorry, 1200 damage each hit. Or like a burst of damage in a small time, like Zena's ult or something. You're not going to heal. So, like I said, just a meme build, but recommendations. But yeah, anyways, that's pretty much it. I had a lot of fun, like I said, with Shinbi so far in Overprime. She's received a little bit of buffs, which again, I want them to fix her mana issue. That's pretty much it. And then the ability for her to jungle, because you can jungle with her well. It's just getting objectives is really hard and stuff with a mage versus a melee. So I hope they fix those things, because it's not really her problem though. Well, maybe the mana thing is, but like the jungle specifically isn't really her problem. She can jungle really well. If you guys don't know, she's easily able to clear camps, but she will use a decent amount of mana. Always get your blue as soon as you can. You're going to need it. But aside from that, I mean, she clears camps way better than Countess does and stuff like that. Maybe not now. I don't know, but probably. But she's just a lot of fun. Her kit is extremely fun. She's synergized. She's not too hard of a character. It's more about her position. Like, it's not even positioning. It's more about her, the mindset of playing her. You just have to make sure you're just sticking to your target. As long as you can hit your abilities and you can stick to your target as a melee, I mean, she's a fantastic character. Like I said, try her out. If you haven't, she's a lot of fun. She's a very underrated character. I think she's broken. I think she does way too much damage. I know people have seen Shinbi 100-0 someone extremely fast. I played her. I remember I got her in ranked one time because something went wrong in draft, and so I had to pick her. And I definitely wasn't comfortable playing her in ranked just because I'm not like extremely proficient as a jungle as her, and it was jungle specifically, not mid or solo. And I like went like 0-2 at first because I was getting invaded, and then I just started popping off, and I was like 14 and like 3 or something. It was crazy. And now that was in plat lobbies, so it was pretty nice. Like, definitely a comfortable hero once you get the hang of her. Like I said, you could also just build more mana on her to fix that issue of her mana drain, but again, not necessary. Just back when you're low on mana. Like, you're gonna have to back anyways. It happens to every caster. Just leave, except Faye, I guess. But anyways, I hope you guys enjoyed the video. That's it for me for today. We'll probably do more guides of other characters. I think the next guide is just going to be Crunch. I'm probably going to make another one until then. He's coming out actually on Tuesday. I think Tuesday? Was it the 28th? So in 3 days. Yep, in 3 days. I'm very excited for him. So definitely expect a guide for him immediately. I'm feeling better. I promise. This guide, I've already played him. I know how he works. There's, unlike Wukong and Iggy, it's going to be a lot simpler. And again, I was taking it with Iggy. I think I was going to make a guide anyways, but with Crunch, I've played him in Pred. I know how he works. I honestly might create a build on the site before he comes out, but I'm going to wait because I don't want to like mess it up. So I'll have a link, by the way, for her build down below. Same with Crunch when his video comes out, but I know exactly how he works. Trust me. I feel like unless they do something wrong, I have it already planned out. He's probably going to be more of a warrior than a tank because of his high burst, but I feel like he's going to be in probably, I want to say he's going to be the best tank in the game. Sorry, the third or fourth best tank. Like, I feel like he's going to replace Sevarog and Rampage, I guess, if you want to include him in there, but like, he's going to be a better tank than those two just because his ability usage is going to be insanely fast, but you could still build him full defense. Now, if they have low values, that's different. But he's going to also have a slows, and he's going to be able to repeat abilities, and he's going to have a lot of chase. As long as his chase isn't like, his dash isn't borked, you really can't mess him up. He has a knock up. I don't know. I feel like he's going to be crazy. But anyways, this is not a Crunch video. So I hope you guys enjoyed. I will see you guys in the next video. Thank you guys so much for watching. Please leave a like and a subscribe if you really enjoyed the video, and I'll put out more Overprime content coming to you soon. Peace out.